This is video 121 in the United Provinces Empire Total War campaign. It's the Grand Campaign, doing the whole 100 years. It's the turn end of the summer of 1732, so we're moving now over to the winter of 1732. Each year is divided into two, of course, which is the summer and the winter. We're just doing all the turn end things. You know, the gentleman over there in America, in Boston, Harvard University, has failed to steal the research that I wanted him to steal, so I'm putting him back in there to do the same again. India is the main thrust of my campaign at the moment, as you know. On the last video and part of the one before it, we managed to take Karnataka, which was another of our objectives in India, which now means that the whole of the southern part, and quite a bulk really of India, has become ours. We do need to stabilise it, of course, and you'll notice he's moved a very large army in there, the Maratha army, which is preventing me from moving troops across to the other side, because we've got to go all the way around that red area to get there, to relieve the troops that I brought from Ceylon. There's only about half a dozen of them, and it'll take a couple of turns. Well, they've already had one turn, but it won't be till next turn that those troops are fully replenished. So I do need to get some troops in there to help them out. I've got some dragoons that I raised last time in Mysore. I need to put those dragoons in Mysore, really, and then get some troops out of there over to Carnatica to relieve it. I'm playing around with the taxation. I want to try and tax the Carnatica if I can. It's quite a wealthy area. You know, relieve some of the pressure on Mysore and Ceylon on the overall tax burden. And of course, last turn I repaired the barracks, the Maratha barracks that was in there, so that I can get my own recruits. So I'll get some dragoons out of there as well. Dragoons are very good because they help suppress any unhappiness in the population, or I should say rebelliousness. They don't make them more happy. Anyhow, that army there in the middle is very well placed, that Maratha army. It's forcing me to attack it, really. I don't think I've got a choice. I'm okay now, though, because the troops in Mysore are fully replenished. They were in there 2 turns ago, so they should be able to put up a fight. I've said on previous videos, I'll say it again, Marathas are the top performing nation in the game in total, so they've got a lot more armed forces than we have, a lot more fleets, more sophisticated as well, which means that they must have some pretty big armies around there that can do something. Yes. Okay. Right, okay, this is just checking over what's in Ceylon. If you remember, we put the fleet in here. This is my nice, super duper wonderful fleet. So I'm just going to replenish those ships in there so that they're ready to fight anew. I didn't want to replenish them over in the port, the Maratha port over there, because that's a fishery and I want to get rid of the fishery. It's not much use to me. I've said before, I want to recruit some decent ships in the Indian Ocean. Like I say, the Marathas have still got a superior navy to me, according to the the overall objectives of the game. You know, the measure of the current achievements, which really does surprise me, because I don't see what sort of ships he's producing. They all seem pretty poor quality to me, although there's a lot of them. Maybe it's just numbers. It's just the fact that he's got numbers of ships that's making the difference. Just checking on the overall income next turn, just to see what we can afford. It's going to take that minister, a minister of the church, a long time to convert that whole place, I'm afraid. Just checking on these other places that we've taken, you know, Morocco and Gibraltar. Find out how stable they are, because they're pretty good earners for us as well. I also need to check that they're stable as well, and that nothing else is approaching or encroaching on them. Upgrade the church. It's going to take me a while. This is Islam down in Morocco, of course, so we need to convert them also over to the Protestant faith. Portugal's still got a decent amount of troops in it, actually. I might need to start looking at those and see what I can do with those, move those out. That is Spain. See how very well settled the population there is now, after a decent occupation for a period of time, building up the pleasure gardens, leaving some troops in there, converting them, building churches. One thing, if I do survive this game, and it seems to be doing very well now, I played this game 4 or 5 times, I know I've said this before, 4 or 5 times, and each time failed and lost before turn 20. Now we're well ahead now. Turn 20 is 10 years. We're well ahead of that now, so it does look as though it's going very, very well. So we might get an opportunity to reform, let's say, as somebody suggested, the Catholic Church throughout the whole of Europe, would you believe? Goodness me, now there's something that the Dutch would have never dreamt of in a million years, I don't think. But, well, they might have dreamt of it, actually. I don't think they'd have ever thought that the dream was ever possible to realise. I've still got my fleet strung out along here because it's a vulnerable area for me, and I don't know what these Marathas are going to do. Where are these big fleets? Where are these large armies? At any point, say a 15 ship fleet could appear on here with 20 infantry units and attack French or Dutch Guyana. You know, it has been known, so it's still very vulnerable. I don't want to be spending a lot of money on building up forts in this area and manning them with troops that are going to cost me a lot of money. I want to use the resources I've already got, and that's why I've strung my navy out there. If you remember, one time we were attacked, he couldn't get through because I had this naval blockade in place. So I'm going to keep it there. Might seem as though it's a bit of a waste of time, but it's prevention. It's better than cure, I've said before, and I'll say it again. This is some nice gold mines down it. Well, gold mines and gem mines and all sorts of things. And silver mines and some very nice resources down there, which would be nice to build up. Quick overall look just to see what's around. If you remember, we made peace with the Spanish. There were some big fleets in here, Spanish fleets, that were scaring me a bit. Of course, I gave up taking Grenada, which is down here. That's probably why the Spanish accepted peace, because they thought, oh, he's going to go for Grenada next, which I would have done, of course. But I wanted to broker a peace with them because their fleets were dangerous to me. If I had my ships strewn out the way they are now in a blockade, the Spanish navy could easily go around there slaughtering my sailors. So I did need peace with them. Okay, back over in India. I've got to do something about this army. He's preventing me from getting over to Carnatica to relieve them. I'd like to put more troops in Carnatica. Really, with large armies like these that the Marathas have potentially got, I can see one just above there, I don't know where the others are, then I could be in trouble in Carnatica with only, say, half a dozen depleted units. So I do need to get some reinforcements to them. I'm going to have to clear these chaps out of the way. I'm going to show this battle. The odds are very much in our favour. He's got a lot of cavalry. The tactics in this one are very simple. I'm in a totally different formation than he gave me. You can see all my line infantry there, well, most of my line infantry all in one front line there, a couple of line infantry units pulled behind them, both on melee mode only and not on fire mode, because I don't want them firing through my own troops at any combat armed infantry that will charge to the front. Also, I've got some grenadiers just behind that front line as well, so they can go charging forward with their bayonets. Again, fire has been disarmed for them as well, so they can only do hand to hand. And then I've got my howitzers as well. We've got I forget what it is. I don't think it's exploding shells. Maybe it's just canister. I'm not too sure. But we've got an upgrade to the fire as well for those. If you remember, I've not been in favour of fighting many land armies, partly because I haven't had decent artillery, and I've still got very little of it anyway. The great thing when you're fighting a cavalry army and you've got artillery like this, it'll fire all over your line infantry, invite his cavalry to come and charge you by going out to the wings, or coming straight at you, depending on how confident he feels. You'll notice I've got my cavalry just behind the wings on each side, to the left and to the right. That's to prevent any attacks on the wings, or the flanks I should say, of my infantry line. But of course I've got square formation, and you'll notice, although I've got grenadiers, they're sort of more towards the middle of the line. At the ends I've got line infantry, so they can form, as you can see now, square on the flanks as well.